Alright, hello everyone, welcome to another guide, to my updated guide on the progenitors, now that I know more about the whole system, and basically have a rough idea of what I'm doing, instead of what I knew a few months ago. This is going to be an updated guide for all those that need it, and anyone that is hoping to make a progenitor. So while this is running, I will explain it. So to start your progenitor journey, you gotta do Genesis War, which is what you see on screen at the moment. And you'll need to basically battle the boss. If you're lazy, just do it once per Genesis War event, because some people may not want to top their best score multiple times, so they'll just do it once and pop 100 tickets a day. Now, since this is Kaio, I don't have the best of builds or the best of characters, as we can see here. But round boss level 50, they'll start just taking out your characters constantly with just like one hit. That's normal. It's designed that way. Now, once this battle is over, once this is over, in the next 2 minutes maybe, I'll explain progenitors and how their weapons work. Because, since the last guide of mine, I have learned or come across new information on each of them and which ones are recommended to grab first versus which ones to build. Okay, there we go. Finally, that took a while. Alright, so you're gonna get Octosphere mementos from this, which can then be used, and I'm gonna quick play this. I said I'm gonna quick play to get some Steel of Memories. In this case, everyone who watched my previous old guide saw how I went for the elf weapon. I'm not going to do that this time. We're going to go for the Aesir weapon. And we're going to open a ton of these to get a bunch of materials we need. Just do this every day if you have more than 100 tickets and just quick run it. Just do your quick play every day if you have 100 tickets. If you have less than 100, just don't bother. And do what you can. The coin amount increases every 10 or so levels, with boxes above number 21 going to 5,000. Now, you can go through go to this in a few different ways. I'm just choosing the old-fashioned way. Now you see we have weapons for all the races, and the transmute feature. But I cannot do transmute yet. So in my case, the first time around, I picked the elf weapon to start enhancing. This time around, I picked the Aesir weapon. Now, it's going to take me a few Genesis Wars to get enough of these. Which, don't worry, there's no rush to build a Progenitor. But generating a weapon will grant you damage inflicted by their specific race by 20%. Very helpful to get. Now, I would recommend sorry for the pause. I had to make sure the outside noise was over. Hello, thank you for the lurk, Ina. Welcome in. I would recommend, before you even go building a Progenitor, I would recommend going for that 20% bonus for each race. So, like, if I made the elf weapon, I would get elves doing 20% more damage than they already do. Now, if you're really wanting that party formation bonus, then go for level 2. But you just want that 20%, I would advise making all of these weapons first. Now, if you're not going crazy on the race infliction, the race damage, you can just ignore it. Now, you'll still need the materials, like the mine demon fossils of a specific element. The element that you need the most of is tied to what the progenitor's element is. In this case, light. And you need these things, which I'm not going to have enough tonight. Now, my recommendation from what I learned, you can get a progenitor in 2 ways. You can make your selection following 2 routes. For the first route, get the progenitor that is the stronger one, like the one that'll do you the best. In this case, it would be the Progenitor Asgard. Go away. I thought that would open something else. So Asgard is a light progenitor for the Aesir. I have heard a lot of good things about him, that he is one of the stronger options to get. So if you have a good amount of Aesirs to beef on up, definitely go for him. And that's just option 1, going for what the best suited progenitor that will help you in the long run. Now, option 2, you go for the one that you have the most races for. That would mean if out of all of your races, say your humans are the strongest and you have more good human options, then you're going to want to go for the human progenitor, Yggdrasil. Or say if your celestials are the strongest, Then you're gonna want to go for the Celestial weapon. And you're gonna want to get it all the way to level 10. But that is entirely up to the person that is making the weapon. You can go for the best one, which I would say would help in the meta for PvE, for endgame like Heroic Wanderer. Or you can go for the one that is part of your strongest race, or the race that you have the most options in. Now, the only way to get an associated progenitor is by getting the weapon all the way to level 10. There is no other way to get a progenitor because they are not obtainable from any existing summons. They are purely obtainable from making the weapon. Now, if anyone wants to know what the unlocks are, it's either from level 7 onward or level 8. You are gonna need high grade boost potions. You will need boost potions for it. So these red little potion concoctions, you will need numerous for the next 3 levels so you can get your progenitor. I'm not going to say how much you need, but I would strongly advise that if you are going for progenitor and you are on your way to completing one, getting your weapon to level 10, and you reach that gate point where you need the potions, prioritize either getting your progenitor or grading your heroes first. And this is also where the 2-option strategy comes in. Well, the 2-option method. Personally, I would just go invest all in one weapon first, get it to level 7, and as soon as it gets to level 7 and you have reached that high boost potion gate, switch to the other weapons and start building them, or even just unlocking them, because then it buys you time to upgrade your heroes with your boost potions, or time to save these. Or you can just go one at a time. As for progenitors themselves, I'm gonna cover this at least so I probably don't have to later, because I know it's bound to come up. You can, in fact, see them in the Spring of Knowledge Hero Directory. Now, in this point in the video, if you do not want to see a progenitor's kit and their max stats and their passives, I would recommend either clicking off or skipping the next 10 minutes, because I will be going over their kits and everything. So pause now and skip about 5 minutes until you see me off this page if you do not want to see a progenitor's stats and whatnot. And with that warning, Progenitor Asgard, for example, all of them have Blessing of Genesis. This is a leader skill. Now, whether or not whether or not the blessing of Genesis takes effect when the progenitor is a unit or not, I do not know. But Surge of Genesis, when there are 3 light element heroes in your party and the remaining 2 are of the same element, all allies get 100% up. I will showcase teams after this I will showcase them just to have an example. Celebration of Genesis. Activation conditions when each row in your party contains at least one element hero. In this case, light. For each progenitor is different. So Yggdrasil would be Earth in both activation conditions. High field resistance depends on the race of the progenitor. And then they buff themselves. So all of these buffs right here for the unit, this is race dependent. So if it's, say, Yggdrasil or one of the other progenitors, it would be all allied race. All allied blank race. This, however, I have no idea. I believe the multi-killer varies. Burst is nothing special. The limit burst is nothing special. Kit is loaded to back and forth. Stats are good. Now, when we say leader, I will also explain that, because this is very important in selecting which progenitor you want to build first. In my case, I could either go elf, which I'm going to do grade. I don't know why I have it as obtained. So already, all of these elves you see are going to get a 20% boost to their damage if I build the elf progenitor's weapon first. Now, as for how their leader skill works, how the leader's skill will work on a progenitor when you have actually crafted the weapon all the way to level 10. If I get past the loading screen, leader skills, oops. Depending on which one you get, you can select a race, a progenitor that you have gotten, and set them as your leader. In the case of Asgard, you would need one light. You would basically, when it says each row, it means melee, magic, and ranged. Putting these 3 in would trigger the first Genesis skill, the first leader skill. It would mean that you get the 100% all stats up to whatever 3 you have. As long as a hero has a specific element and is in each row. Which, to answer a question people most likely will have, Yes, multi-element heroes will work. So, like, Bayless here has all 5 elements. He is still light. So that will trigger the leader skill. That's the same thing if I have 2 multi-element units in one team. As long as one of the elements is the activation condition, it will trigger. Now, when it said the next line of the same element, when the remaining 2 are of the same element, not including light, when it says that, it can be these 2. So, like, say, not them. Say, if I put 2 Earth element humans into a team, with a team that is already triggering the first effect of the leader skill of a progenitor. So if Baylist, Odin, and Skuld are already triggering the first surge of Genesis leader skill, and then I throw in, say, Jenny's here and Rudius, they would trigger the second skill, which would give an additional 100% buff to your team if you have a progenitor set as your leader. So this is a very strong budget team. We're not going to use this. But that is a team that would trigger both buffs for Asgard specifically. But do keep in mind that the team, if you want to trigger one of the buffs of a progenitor, you have to have the same race and element as said progenitor. So, like in this case, say I have the Therian progenitor, who is fire. If I want to trigger the first leader skill, I have to do, and this is for example, don't actually do this type of team in Heroic Wanderer. If I have a fire element Therian in the melee row, fire element Therian in the ranged, and a fire element Therian in the magic row, this right here alone gets you 100% stats up from the Therian progenitor. Now, if you want the next activation, then it's easy. 2 Earth element humans. Boom. 200% stats up. Now, in endgame, try to trigger both, at best, try and trigger one of the leader skills. Not 2, just 1. Because in certain modes, like Space Between Worlds, you're not going to be able to. Because it's going to be strongly advised against going for that 100% or even the 200. Plus, who knows, you might need your progenitor as a unit. Which that's another thing I should address. When you use a progenitor as a leader, this will not count. This goes around Heroic Wanderer's restriction. So you can use a progenitor as a leader as much as you want. Now, when you use a Progenitor as a unit in a team that has beaten a specific Wanderer, then that Progenitor will be unable to be used as a unit again. But if you do that, you can still select them as a leader. Because the Heroic Wanderer restrictions will not apply to the leader slot. I don't know why, it's weird like that. Now, if anyone has any questions about how progenitors work, or how their weapons are, do please let me know in the comments when the YouTube video goes up. And or on any post I make relating to this guide. I will do my best to reply to your comments, and I will say now, I am not ruling out making a part 2. This will 100% be a multi-part guide, because this is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to stuff like progenitors. So there will be a multi-part. This will be multi-part. But I covered pretty much all of the major stuff you need to know. Genesis War comes once a month, usually at the start of the month. So if you are wanting your materials for progenitors, go into Genesis War. Now, you do get to pick a faction, say Defense Force here. Normally, a lot of big spenders will pick Asgard. That's what I tend to pick as well. But pick any that you want. Main battle, this is where your score comes from. Do the main battle. That will be what counts in your quick play. If you do SP battle with guild, friends, or just multi, this won't count. SP battle does not count towards your quick play. Only do SP battle if you really, really want to. And you want to see just how much score you can get with other people. Then, when you do your quick play with tickets, Steel of Memories, pick a race. Then you can get memory pipes, crystal balls, memory incense stone, which used to strengthen progenitors. All I will say about this is that it serves as mana when it comes to progenitors, so it's what you need to level them up when you have them as a unit. That's about it. Like I said earlier in the video, pick whatever race you want to work on for your Ion Right weapon. The 20% boost comes very in handy from just a level 1 weapon. Spend your resources wisely, especially if you're a newer player and you're lacking a bunch of this. Use your resources wisely. And with that, thank you everyone for tuning in. I hope this guide serves as some type of assistance for anyone struggling with progenitors. And again, if you have any questions, either ping me on Discord, comment on the video that goes up on YouTube, or let me know on Twitter some way. If I don't answer them in the comments, I will turn it into a video and use it for part 2, but I most likely will answer a comment question, so that's probably the best place to ask. But with that, thank you for tuning in. We're going to do Neptunia as the next one, unless we do a part 2 first. But other than that, I'll see you guys next time.